Hello and welcome to a long overdue luxury lipstick overview video. So long overdue that I started filming it last year thinking the most tedious and time-consuming part of it would be filming the lip swatches, because I per se wanted you to have lip swatches so that you can really see how these textures apply on the skin, on my lips. But then I filmed those lip swatches, I uploaded them on my laptop. Thank goodness my laptop didn't croak in the past year. Apparently, actually filming the part where I talk about these lipsticks was the rate limiting factor here. And because it has taken us so long to get here, I'm not going to waste another minute and we're immediately going to jump right into it. I would like to, however, add a few disclaimers before we get started. When I talk about luxury lipsticks in this video, I am really only referring to the classic fashion house lipsticks. So we're talking Dior, Chanel, that kind of thing. I have not even included brands like Tom Ford in here, because I wanted to really stick to the classic fashion house luxury brands. The second thing I wanted to say is that I'm going to use, abuse and overuse positive adjectives in this video, because there's not a single dud in here, there's not a single formula, not a single brand that underperforms. There are subtle as well as less subtle differences between these lipsticks in terms of everything ranging from the packaging to their textures and formulas. But overall, the luxury fashion house lipsticks are killing the lipstick game. They're all so incredibly good. So I'm going to repeat a lot of positive adjectives in this video, so please do not get vexed with me. The other disclaimer I wanted to add is that, unfortunately, because we're talking about classic luxury fashion house lipsticks here, they are all scented to a certain degree, ranging from barely noticeable to gosh, are they trying to win an award. So I'm going to talk about each of the brands, and I'm going to tell you the ones that are the worst offenders when it comes to scents added to their lipsticks. But as a general rule of thumb, you should assume that if you're buying a luxury lipstick from a fashion house, it's probably going to be scented. Obviously, a limitation of this video will be that it will be restricted to the brands and the formulas that I have tried, because while I have tried quite a few, I have not tried them all. They're not Pokemons, I'm not trying to catch them all. I'm just trying to select the ones that seem particularly interesting to me. And an additional thing you should know about me is that when I like something, I hyper focus on it. So when I try a lipstick from a certain brand, I really like it, I tend to go on a binge and buy a bunch of different colors and textures from that brand. So you will see that a couple of brands are a bit overrepresented here, and obviously there's a reason for it. I'm going to kick things off with the brand that I only have one representative of, and that is Chanel. I haven't tried all the Chanel formulas, I only have one of their lipsticks, and it happens to be from a limited edition collection. This was a collection from, I want to say, almost 2 years ago, that was released with Margot Robbie as the face of the collection, and it was the lipsticks that were named after hours of the night. So we started off with midnight and ended up at 6 o'clock. So, you know, girls want to have fun, and apparently every single hour they want to wear a different shade of lipstick. Let me tell you, this girl doesn't party anymore at midnight. That ship has sailed. Those days are behind me. However, this was a color that I couldn't forgo, and a packaging that I couldn't forgo. I've got a bit of a thing when it comes to makeup that is packaged in white outer components, and when I saw this specific Chanel lipstick, it struck me as such an elegant, beautiful, classy representative of the brand that I could not resist. It has a little logo here of Chanel, and the way the lipstick comes out is you click it, and that is how the bullet comes out. The lipstick that I purchased is also a very classic Mariam shade. I am someone who loves red lipstick, so when I want to try a new brand, I will more often than not go for the red lipstick, because red lipstick happens to be my nude. When other people love and enjoy nudes and they purchase nudes, I purchase reds. You will of course see lip swatches of all of these, but here is also a hand swatch of the shade Midnight from Chanel. This happens to be in their satin formula, which I will describe as a satin bordering on a demi-matte. It's not the kind of satin formula that's very shiny and that has a lot of like slip and slide to it. It applies as a satin and then it sort of dries down to this beautiful, comfortable demi-matte finish. This specific color is also absolutely beautiful because it's the kind of red that is a little bit muted, palette. It's a bit more neutral leaning. There's not too much cool tones, there's not too much warm tones. It looks beautiful and classy on the face, and I am very happy that I purchased this lipstick. I've heard amazing things about the Chanel lipsticks and their other formulas. Personally, I do not own any of these other formulas. I've purchased Chanel lipsticks for my mom and I know she really enjoys them, but this happens to be the only lipstick that I have. And an additional thing I wanted to add is that perhaps out of all the brands out there, Chanel could probably take the award for the least scented or possibly not even scented lipstick. I'm not sure whether that's the case. I do not have the most sensitive nose out there. Those of you who might be blessed with more feline-like senses perhaps can smell some sort of a perfume scent in this lipstick. I cannot. To me, this is the only, I think, luxury lipstick that I currently own that doesn't have any sort of scent to it, or not one that I can detect. The lipstick lasts on the lips a really long time, even though it is considered to be a more satin formula. I find the longevity on this quite remarkable, and I also think it wears very comfortably, and that's something I can say again about all of these lipsticks. They are all incredibly comfortable. Moving on to Dior, where I actually have representatives of 3 different types of formulas. The one that I'm going to start off with is the sheerest one, and that is the Dior Addict lipstick. I think this is the Dior Addict and not the Dior Addict Shine, but it's the one that comes in this beautiful packaging. The packaging on this is really interesting and I think it's really classy. I love the little logo here. I think it's very cute that you just pull out the lipstick in this manner, and it's one of those like more slimline type bullets. Now, the thing about this lipstick, I have it in the shade Tartan, which is an absolutely stunning fall shade. It's the color essentially of cinnamon, and it evokes, you know, all the fall feels. It's a beautiful lipstick. I bought this off recommendation of Martina Lily, whom I dearly miss on YouTube. This is the kind of formula that I would almost qualify as bordering on a lip balm. It's more pigmented than a lip balm, but it is as shiny as a lip balm. And while I very much enjoy this color and I think the formula is so comfortable and so nourishing, my personal problem with this specific formula is that unfortunately it bleeds out of my lip lines. That is an issue that I experience quite a bit with more shiny type formulas. There's something about certain lipstick formulations that probably have components that make them a bit more slidey, and on somebody else's lips that might not be a problem at all, but unfortunately on my lips, even with a lip liner, this lipstick tends to go out of the of my lip lines and it starts to travel, and because of that I don't use it as much as I would like to. This is very lightly vanilla scented, so this is one of the most pleasantly scented Dior lipsticks. Now let's talk about the Rouge Dior lipsticks. These were relaunched in the beginning of 2024, and these 2 lipsticks in particular were the ones that actually started my whole love affair with luxury lipsticks. Prior to that, I was very committed to Pat McGrath and Lisa Eldridge, and to this day Lisa Eldridge is the biggest representative of lipsticks in my collection and the ones that I also use the most often. But it was these the Rouge Dior lipsticks, one from the satin and one from the matte formula, that caught my attention in the beginning of 2024 when they were relaunched or reformulated. I'm not sure what exactly was going on, but I purchased those, and that is what kicked off my whole love affair with luxury lipsticks. The satin lipstick that I have from them is in the shade 720 Icone, and this is one of the most unique, beautiful shades of lipstick that I have in my collection. I find it very difficult to describe the specific tone of this lipstick because it's like a rosy brick terracotta shade. There's a bit of red, there's a bit of rosiness in here, but at the same time it's very neutral. It is a beautiful formula. This is in their satin formula, and you can see that when you compare it to the lipstick from Dior, there's quite a bit more shine in here than there is in the Chanel lipstick, which is why I would qualify the Chanel more as a demi-matte than really a satin. The one from Dior truly is a satin formula. It has a bit of a shine to it, but fortunately, unlike the Dior Addict formula, it doesn't have so much shine that it slips and slides around. It stays on my lips put throughout the whole day. It is such a comfortable formula. This is like nothing on your lips. You're not going to feel this on your lips. It's lightweight, it's nourishing, it's comfortable, it applies beautifully, it reapplies beautifully, and it actually wears really well. This is a gorgeous lipstick formula. Now, compared to the Dior Addict, this is already quite much more scented. If you put this on, you're going to smell this on your lips. And the same counts for the matte lipstick that I have from the Rouge Dior collection, and mine is in the shade 866 Together, which is a beautiful matte red shade. And I don't know whether you can see, but the matte lipsticks from Dior have that same velvety outside finish of the bullet as do the Lisa Eldridge Velvet Matte lipsticks. Absolutely beautiful. And this shade is another difficult to describe color because it is a beautiful deeper red that again doesn't lead too warm, doesn't lead too cool. It's like beautifully neutral, but it has a bit of depth and vampiness to it without being too deep or too vampy. It is a beautiful red, and it's actually a very unique red in my collection. I don't really have another lipstick that is quite like Together from Dior. And again, the matte lipstick formula from Dior, just like the satin, is so lightweight. You barely feel this lipstick on your lips. You know how sometimes when you apply matte lipsticks, they can feel quite substantial, they can feel quite drying, and you can feel them on your lips. This goes on like nothing on your lips. It does not dry them out. It lasts a really long time, and it's just such a beautiful formula. The next brand that I tried, and the one that by far has my absolute favorite packaging, out of all the luxury brands out there, if there's one brand that does their packaging, nails it every single time, and charges an arm and a leg for their lipsticks, but because of that outer component, I feel like that's justified, would be Hermes, at least for me. I absolutely love the outside components of Hermes. The unfortunate thing about Hermes is that most of the lipsticks that I'm going to show you now come from limited edition collections. So except for one, which is part of their permanent line, all the others have been limited edition. So unfortunately, you will probably not be able to find them. But I think what I want you to concentrate more really is the different types of formulas and how they feel, rather than the specific colors. You can always go and choose a color that suits your preferences, but it's really more about the actual lipsticks and what the brand can offer you than the specific colors. I am offering you a glimpse of the colors more so you can see the formula than anything else. And once again, from Hermes, I actually have quite a good range of different formulas. The first lipstick that I purchased from them was a limited edition, and I'm going to show it to you in a second. It is the shade Beige Croissant, which came in this beautiful, stunning packaging with the black, white and red colors on it. And I received this lipstick and I was absolutely blown away by how beautiful, hefty and luxurious the packaging really feels in the hand. Of course, these are so much more expensive than a lot of these other luxury brands. Most of these other luxury lipsticks are priced, let's say, between 40 and 50 euros, whereas this was 72 per piece. And it's not to say that it's a bad thing, but look how much more plain the Dior outside packaging component looks like by comparison. This is fun, this is hefty, this is luxury, this is unique. I love these lipsticks. Something very important that I forgot to mention about the Dior Rouge line is that they are refillable. I don't know, perhaps that was the difference. That's why they were relaunched. Now they are refillable. The Chanel lipstick that I showed you that came from the limited edition collection was not refillable, but the two Rouge Dior ones are refillable, and the same counts for the Hermes lipsticks. The Hermes lipsticks are refillable, so when you buy the component, you have to see the component a little bit as an investment piece, because you buy the component and then you can buy the refills and you can just change up all you want. Now, because I'm a sucker for their packaging and a sucker for the different designs of packaging they come up with, I have 6 of these lipsticks currently in my collection just because I wanted the outside packaging. But if I wanted to, I could have purchased this and just switched up the refills. Like I said, the first lipstick that I bought from them was Beige Croissant. Now, this is not the lipstick that is currently housed in this packaging. I switched it up. Currently, my Beige Croissant is actually housed in their classic packaging, so this is the non-limited edition packaging that you will see on their lipsticks. When you go on their website and you purchase a lipstick that is not part of a limited edition collection, that's how they're going to look like. This beautiful, like, sort of matte old gold kind of design, and the black and white. Still stunning, still refillable. The shade Beige Croissant is in their Brilliant formula, and this lipstick has a very interesting formula. It's quite sheer and it has a really high amount of shine to it, but it's a different kind of shine compared to the Dior Addict formula, for example. The Dior Addict formula looks like your classic very high shine balm type lipstick, whereas there's something about the formula of these like brilliance lipsticks from Hermes which makes your lips look like a glazed donut. That's really the only association that comes to mind when I think about how my lips look like when I use this color. It's a beautiful color because it's like a peachy nude that is not too light, so it's really flattering. It's a really stunning color. We're not going to focus on the color too much because, like I said, this was a limited edition color, long ago discontinued. But it's really this formula. This formula is so special and so unique and nothing that I've really tried before. It has the slight tendency to run outside of my lip lines, but for whatever reason it's not as bad as the Dior Addict. And now let's talk about the lipstick that is housed in this limited edition packaging that Beige originally came from. This is the only lipstick in my collection currently that is from their permanent line. And this is the shade Rouge Vigne, which comes in their satin formula. The satin formula from Hermes is just stunning. I would say this formula reminds me a little bit of the satin formula from Chanel because, again, once it goes on the lips, there isn't that much shine to it. It's more really of a demi-matte finish than anything else. It's not a matte formula, but it's also not something that I would describe as a classic satin. To me, Icone from Dior is much more what I would think of when I think of a classic satin lipstick. Now, Rouge Vigne was a lipstick that I purchased because I wanted to replace an old Urban Decay lipstick. I had a lipstick from Urban Decay which was called Wonderland. It was part of a collaboration with Gwen Stefani in 2015. I used the crap out of that lipstick and I absolutely loved it because it had that really special undertone to it where it's red, but it has a lot of like those like pink berry tones to it, and for whatever reason these kind of reds look very flattering on me. I absolutely love a red that has a little bit of those pinky berry tones to it. And when I found this lipstick I thought, this comes as close as I can get and I'm curious to try the satin lipstick formula from Hermes. And gosh, was I blown away. This is currently one of my absolute favorite lipsticks in my collection. I love how this lipstick looks on my lips. I love how it wears. I love the undertone of it. I love everything about it. And of course it is housed in this beautiful limited edition packaging. I cannot recommend the satin lipstick formula from Hermes enough. I have two other lipsticks here that come from a limited edition collection. I bought them secondhand on Vinted because I fell in love with the outside components of these. And I want to say that I switched up the colors in here, so what is housed in here is not currently the lipstick name that is on the packaging, so I'm not actually sure what this lipstick is called. So I'm going to give them a quick swatch. They're also in their satin formula, but I'm not going to talk too much about especially the color of this. I am going to mention, however, the shade Beige Ebloui, because this lipstick, I believe, was brought back, and I think maybe it was brought back in their permanent line. This is a beautiful, as you can see, rosy beige. On the lips it actually looks a lot more like neutral tone. Somehow on the back of my hand there's quite a bit of like a rosy undertone to it, but I think on the lips it's quite a balanced nude brown pink beige. I really like this lipstick and I like that it's not too light so it doesn't look like concealer lips. The other shade, like I mentioned, I want to say has something with coral in the name, but I'm not entirely sure. Now, this is probably one of my least favorite lipsticks out of the ones that I have purchased. It's a beautiful color. It's this really vibrant watermelon pink red, and it has sparkles in it. I don't know whether it's because of the sparkles or because there's a bit more white pigment in here, and lipsticks that tend to have a bit more white pigment to them tend to wear a bit less well, tend to be a little bit less comfortable. It's just the darn white pigment. And this is the kind of color that unfortunately has quite a bit of white pigment to it. So it's possible that it's this specific color that is my least favorite, but this is also in their satin formula. Like I said, my favorite formula. It's a beautiful, vibrant shade. And I actually need to pull it out because now is the time of the year to wear it. And the other two lipsticks that I have from Hermes are both in their matte finish, and of course they're both limited edition. So one of them is from their limited edition summer collection from 2024, so that's last year, and that is the shade Rouge Cinétique. Something I noticed about the Hermes lipsticks, these two, which like I said I purchased secondhand on Vinted and come from an older limited edition collection, are much more heavily scented than the newer ones that I have. So I feel like Hermes have toned down the amount of scent that goes on into their lipsticks, because the newer ones that I have are really not as heavily scented. Let's talk about Rouge Cinétique. Rouge Cinétique is a gorgeous, vibrant tomato red in their matte formula. And what can I tell you about their matte formula? Their matte formula is very lightweight on the lips. I don't know how to describe this, but it is even more lightweight than the Dior matte formula. The Dior matte lipsticks feel like nothing on the lips, but feel like they have a bit of like a grip to them. There is something very airy, lightweight and plush about the matte formula from Hermes. It has that same lightweight, feels like nothing on your lips feeling, but at the same time it's different compared to the ones from Dior. I really enjoyed the matte formula from Hermes, and it's again a very comfortable one that doesn't dry out your lips. It wears really well. This particular color again has a little bit more of a white pigment to it, so unfortunately it tends to be on the more drying side. But I have one more matte lipstick from them, which I will show you in a second, which comes from their limited edition fall collection from last year, from 2024. This is the shade Beige Ebloui. Look how gorgeous that is. Beige Ebloui is a beautiful earthy terracotta peachy nude. Look how gorgeous that is. It feels the same, like the matte formula is quite consistent between the two, so it feels the same way. It's quite lightweight, it's quite undetectable on the lips in terms of like its texture, and it wears really beautifully, and it is very, very comfortable. I find Beige Ebloui a little bit more comfortable to wear than the Tomato Red, the Rouge Synthetic shade, but I do think that's quite color specific. So you have to keep in mind, of course, that depending on the color that you choose, they're going to be more or less comfortable just because of the types of pigments that go into them. And I think I forgot to show that to you, but also my camera might be blinding you too much to see it, but the caps of the Hermes lipsticks also have the beautiful intricate logo of the Hermes brand. The next brand on our menu today is going to be Gucci. Gucci happens to be one of my favorites, which is why I have 4 different finish from their lipstick formulas. Gucci also kill it with the packaging. I am such a sucker for the Gucci beauty brand packaging. With some of these other brands, you can't really tell what kind of finish you're going to get, what kind of formula you're going to get, depending on the packaging. You can, for example, tell that you're getting a Dior Addict because they come in this packaging, but then when it comes to the satins and the mattes from Dior, they both look like this, so you can't tell the difference. Gucci, on the other hand, has made it quite easy for us, and each individual formula comes in a different sort of packaging. Let's start in the direction of least pigmented to most pigmented, because probably that's the way I swatched them for convenience. Let's start with their Brilliant formula. At least I'm assuming it's called the Brilliant formula, which very similarly to the one from Hermes is one of the least pigmented and most like balm type formulas. They do actually have a balm formula, but this is even sheerer and shinier than their balm formula. And what's special about the packaging of this is that it's more like the slimline type packaging. So when you open it, you have this very like slim bullet to it. The shade of this lipstick that I have is one that I can for the life of me not remember. This is the shade 216 My Cousin Rachel, and this is a beautiful shiny peachy nude. This is the lipstick that I can also tell you the least about, because I lost this lipstick for about a year. I bought it, I used it a few times, I used it to do those lip swatches, and then I put it in my bag and it vanished. For like the absolute longest time, I had no idea where this lipstick was. I turned my bag over and over again, and I don't have many bags that I alternate between, so I was convinced that it must be somewhere in there. Ultimately, I found it about a few weeks ago, so I can't really tell you much about this lipstick past the fact that I use it more as like a nourishing balm than anything else, and it is a little bit of a regret for me. Not because it's a bad formula, not because it's a bad lipstick, but because I'm someone who doesn't really use these kind of lipsticks on the daily. I prefer something that is a bit lower maintenance, that you don't have to reapply all the time. I love this as a nourishing lip balm, but I don't really use it as a lipstick. With that said, the packaging is absolutely stunning. Like I said, Gucci really kills it with the packaging. So let's talk about their actual balm formula, because I do have one of these in their balm formula as well. Another thing worth mentioning, just like with Dior, a lot of these lipsticks from luxury brands sometimes exist with the same name across different types of formulas. So for example, the shade that I have here from Gucci from their lip balm formula, so that's their actual balm formula, which you can see comes in your more standard bullet type packaging. It's not the slimline one, and it's just so incredibly adorable with the little flowers on it. It just has the sweetest grandma feel to it, but in the best possible way. So the shade of lip balm that I have here is Edie Scarlet, and like I said, Edie Scarlet is also a shade that exists in their satin and possibly also in their matte formula, and I'm assuming it's the same shade. I don't really know why I thought that I needed a lip balm that is red, but here we are. I currently use this lipstick more as a nourishing lip balm before I start my makeup, or if I'm walking around the house, or just quickly to the supermarket and I want to put a bit of color on my face. It's a beautiful shade of red. It's your classic, you know, blue toned, neutral toned kind of red. It's very comfortable. It's a super nice lipstick. It has a decent pigmentation to it for being a balm, but like I said, these kind of formulas are just not something that I use as my day-to-day lipstick. As my day-to-day lipstick, I prefer satins and mattes. But this definitely belongs in the category Mariam was greedy and bought a lipstick that she didn't need. I mean, that can be said of most of the lipsticks that I own. But this specific formula and finish, I knew that I'm probably not going to get much use out of it. So this is in the category of Mariam regrets purchasing this, but you will go through it because it was expensive. And now let's talk about the two formulas from Gucci that I absolutely adore, and those would be their satins and their mattes. So their satins and their mattes come in very similar packaging. They come in this beautiful antique gold type packaging. The matte lipstick has this lined rich component, whereas the satin also has this golden component, but it has this beautiful, like, I don't know if it's like a flowery design or it's some sort of a design, but you can clearly see which formula you are getting just based on the outside component. The components are very similar, but you can immediately tell which formula you are dealing with. Now I have 3 shades from their satin formula, starting with the lightest one. So some of these lipsticks were part of their Gucci Neutrals collection that they released last year in the summer. So you know how in the summer every other brand will release corals and bright colors? Gucci was like, I'm not like other girls, and they released a bunch of really grungy neutral shades. I absolutely loved that collection, and some of my favorite lipsticks come from that collection. So starting off with the lightest shade in their satin formula, this is the shade Elena Sand, which is a beige, like a neutral beigey pinky brown. This is, again, it comes across a bit more pink on the back of my hand. I think when you see the swatch on my lips, it's a bit more balanced. Again, there's a bit of a pink hue to it, but it's a beautiful, very flattering nude beige on me, and especially in the winter, this is one of my absolute favorite lipsticks to wear. Right now I have a bit of a tan, and I noticed that this is not the most flattering shade on me because it looks like I tanned quite warm, so this looks a little bit too cool toned for me right now. But in the winter, with a nice taupe cool toned look, this lipstick is absolutely stunning. And the satin formula from Gucci is also lovely. It's creamy, it has a bit more of a substantial feel to it. Like when you compare the Gucci satin formula to the Dior satin formula, the Dior satin formula is much more thin and much more light on the lips. There's a bit more substantiality to the formula from Gucci. Not in a bad way, but just in a different way. Absolutely love the color Elena Sand. The next one that I'm going to show you is Eliza Ginger, which is a beautiful, more warm toned brown, which is not too warm though. It's a beautiful neutral to slightly warmer leaning brown. Absolutely love this lipstick. And last but not least, the deepest shade that I have in their satin formula is also the one that I purchased first. So this is the first Gucci lipstick I ever purchased. This is in the shade Janet Rust, and I'm pretty sure this specific color definitely exists across the different types of formulas. This is a gorgeous fall cinnamon red. It's so beautiful. It's more red than it really, like, imagine something like Cinnabar. Cinnabar has quite a bit of like brown and orange to it, and this is similar to Cinnabar, but it has more red in it compared to Cinnabar. Beautiful color, beautiful formula, really comfortable and wears really well. For a formula that has a good amount of shine to it, like you can see that the satins from Gucci have a good amount of shine to them. They last really well on the lips. And last but not least, let's talk about the only matte lipstick that I have from their collection. This also comes from the Gucci Neutrals line, and this is the shade Suzanne Sunset. This is the most grungy brown that I currently own in my collection. This is again a color that unfortunately I can't really wear right now because I think I'm a little bit too tan and it will look a little bit too gray, but this is just the perfect like grungy brown, because you can see there's a little bit of gray tones in here, but on the lips those gray tones are not too overpowering, and there's something very pleasant about the matte formula, like the texture of the matte formula of the Gucci lipsticks, because it has what I call this like sort of like latexy feel on the lips, and we're going to talk about that latexy feel on the lips in a little bit as well when we move on to talking about the Prada lipsticks, because those are chef's kiss when it comes to that latex feel on the lips. And I want you to think of that latex feel on the lips in the best possible way. It's like cushiony and pillowy and comfortable and creamy. It's a matte lipstick that has a degree of creaminess to it that makes it super comfortable to wear. Absolutely love the Gucci matte lipsticks. I would definitely get more in the future, but I'm trying to, you know, again, remain a little bit reasonable because I went a little bit overboard on the Gucci Neutrals collection last year. I purchased these three in the same order. That was crazy. That was insane. I shouldn't do that again. And the last brand we're going to talk about today is Prada, where I also have representatives of their 3 different formulas. I think currently they have 4. I haven't really tried their like brilliant lip oil, lip balm type formula, but I do have their original balms, their soft matte, and their... what are these other mattes called? The hyper matte formula. Let's talk about the packaging, because Prada has a very unique type of packaging, and I think one that really fits the aesthetic of their brand. So this is the outside component on their lip balms, and unfortunately it is also the outside component of their soft matte lipsticks. So while you can tell the difference between these 2 formulas and the hyper mattes, because this outside element here is gold on the hyper matte lipsticks with the Prada logo on it, whereas it is silver on the balms and the soft mattes. Unfortunately, you cannot tell the difference between the soft mattes and the lip balms. You have the little triangle here on the lid, also refillable by the way. Something that I forgot to mention, none of the Gucci lipsticks are refillable. So Dior is refillable, Prada is refillable, Hermes is refillable, Chanel, the one that I have from Chanel, as well as the Gucci ones, they're not refillable. So you pop them out like this, and then you can switch up for whatever color you want. And what's really cool about all of the lipsticks in the Prada lipstick line is that they have this very interesting finish of the bullets, which imitates the classic Prada nylon. And unfortunately you can't see it anymore because I've used all of these lipsticks. None of them are brand new. Oh wait, I have one of their lip balms that I haven't opened yet, so I can show you. So when you first open their bullets, they also have the little triangle here on the bullet itself, which is really, really cool. This is the shade Maple, which is a beautiful brown. There's really no other way to describe it other than this is a beautiful brown, like neutral chocolate brown. And what strikes me quite a bit about the balm formula from Prada is that they're quite pigmented. If I didn't know that Prada was calling these balms, I would have told you that these are probably satin lipsticks of sorts, because they have quite a good amount of pigment on them. They stay on the lips really well, and they are really comfortable and nourishing on the lips. Now, before I go on gushing about the different types of formulas from Prada, I want to mention the one negative thing. The one really negative thing about all of the Prada lip products is that they're very heavily scented. I want to say they're even more heavily scented than the Dior Rouge. The ones from Prada, it's like they're trying to win a prize, and someone needs to break it to these brands that this is not a competition and this is not the kind of prize they want to win. Like, tone it down a little bit. I don't need to taste perfume in my lipsticks, because unfortunately, if you are going to purchase one of these, you need to be prepared that the amount of scent is very heavy and you're going to taste it for like the first 10 to 15 minutes of wear of any of these lip products that I'm going to talk about now. You're unfortunately going to taste a little bit of perfume, so you have to give them a bit of time to stay on your lips and for that perfume to dissipate a bit before you can consume anything, if you don't want to taste perfume in your mouth. Other than the scent, I can really only shower the Prada lip products with superlatives because they are exceptional. So the balm, really, really nice. I love this color. I use it all the time. Again, the kind of formula, but this time I went into it knowing that this is the kind of product that I'm just going to use as a nourishing lip balm around the house and not something I'm going to really wear out and about when I go to work. Something that I do wear a lot, quite and about to work, and it's the reason why I have 4 of these now, is their soft matte formula. Their soft matte formula is out of this world amazing. It's one of the most unique, one of the most innovative, and one of the nicest lip formulas out there. Very similar to the Gucci lipsticks, but in a slightly different way. These also have a very slight latex feeling on the lips, again in the best possible kind of way. They come in the little refills, and because now I have 4 of these, I've actually started to add stickers to them. The first shade that I bought was the shade Sienne, which is this gorgeous like auburn terracotta brick kind of color. You can see I have a type when it comes to brick terracotta lipsticks as well. Love this shade. Then the next one was a recommendation by our beloved Eliza. This is the shade Sedona. Sedona is a beautiful shade. It's another one of those shades that I have a really hard time describing exactly what kind of color it is, because it's a neutral, but it has a bit of rosiness and a bit of a red tone to it, but it's at the same time very neutral. This is a gorgeous and really flattering shade. The soft matte formula from Prada, it's a matte formula, but it has so much creaminess to it. It feels so lightweight on the lips, and it lasts so exceptionally well. It's the kind of formula that will really surprise you in terms of its longevity. I recall last year I went to some sort of a meeting. I was with my boss and we were going to some sort of a meeting. I applied this lipstick in the morning and I didn't really have much time to reapply or look at myself in the mirror for most of the rest of the day. And then in the evening I went back to the hotel room and I was absolutely shocked that the lipstick was still on. It was just, they last so incredibly well, and because you don't feel it on the lips anymore, it's so comfortable, you kind of forget it's there, you think it definitely wore off. But it didn't. These lipsticks are phenomenal. If there's one formula in here that I think stands out above all the others as being very unique, it is the soft matte formula from Prada. I cannot recommend them enough. If you can get past the scent, these are incredible. I have, of course, a red lipstick because I absolutely had to try these lipsticks in a red formula. This is the shade Granato, which is a beautiful, happy strawberry red. Quite a neutral red. I really like it. It has a bit of, it adds a lot of brightness to my face. I really like this shade. And last but not least, we have another recommendation I want to say from Eliza. This is the shade Caramel. This has quickly turned into my favorite nude brown lipstick. It's also the lipstick that I'm currently wearing, and there's something about this color in this formula that just blows my mind every time I put it on. This is one of my current favorite lipsticks in my collection, in my whole collection, and we're talking about a substantial lipstick collection here. Love this color. And before we end this video, let me quickly show you the one lipstick that I have in their hyper matte formula, which is the shade Mahogany. Mahogany is a beautiful, as the color would probably already suggest, mahogany warm brown. It kind of feels the same way on the lips. It has that same like latexy creamy feeling on the lips, like very plush and very cushy and everything, but it just has a bit more pigment to it. The soft matte formula has that sheerness to it where you can really apply it as a stain, whereas the hyper matte formula is more like your classic pigmented matte lipstick, but with the bonus of being in the hyper matte formula from Prada, which is really, really comfortable. Alright y'all, my poor old laptop is really going to protest against all this footage that I have collected, so keep your fingers crossed that this video ultimately makes it to you, because if my laptop decides to croak in the meantime, that's going to be bad. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little luxury lipstick overview. I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comment section below. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video and it was useful to you. I'll see you next time. Bye!